All right, let's go.
About tragedy.
Hey everyone, welcome to our episode with Daniel. Before we get started, I'd like to shout out our sponsors, Elevate Marketing Group. Well, Daniel, nice to have you on the show. Who are you and what you're about?
Thanks for having me on this episode of Emeka. I'm so grateful to be here. It's amazing to be here. My name's Daniel. I'm from Nigeria, living in Australia, Brisbane to be specific. 25 years old. Oh my days, I'm quite old, man. 25. Wow,
Just
is that
hit.
Silver Jubilee, bro? Man, yeah, man, that's a long time. I do have a bit of experience with life. So, yeah, 25 years old. I'm a university student studying IT at James Cook University, Brisbane. Yeah, I moved down from Nigeria to Australia about a year and 3 months ago. It's been an amazing experience. Trust me, it's been fantastic. Learned a lot along the way. Willing to share my story, my experience, all of the knowledge I have, the secrets I know about life, and all of that. Yeah. It's amazing to be here with you today, bro.
The secrets.
Yeah.
Yeah, appreciate it, bro. The secrets you know about life. What are
Bro,
some of the
there's certain
secrets?
secrets about life, man. You just, nah, there's just a lot of secrets about life. I mean, you learn those things along the way. It builds up. It's not just, you don't have a manual for it. There's no handbook that tells you, oh, this is the secret to life. This is how you get success. This is how you get to that level where you want to get to. It's not so much about the outcome. It's about the experience and the journey and what you are able to deduce and learn from it. So it's not so much about the journey. It's about the process of the journey. So yeah, the secrets of life. I've learned a lot. First and foremost, from my dad. My father was a great man. My dad passed. He passed away 2 years ago. March 9th, 2 years ago. So it was like an anniversary just a few days back. It was a great day for me. It gave me a bit of time to be sober and like do a bit of thinking, trying to remember a lot of the words he said to me. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. You do not realize how important a father figure is in your life, notwithstanding your age. I mean, at any point in your life, when you lose something of value, that's when you really realize it. When you have it, you might not realize it as much, but yeah, when you lose it. So yeah, just a few days ago on the night of March, it gave me the opportunity to reminisce a lot about a lot of the things my dad has told me. My late dad, yeah, God bless his soul. Yeah, so first and foremost, most of the secrets of life, I mean, personally, just talking about my stuff, I got those from him. He taught me a lot. He was a great man. He behaved a certain kind of way. He was different from most men in the society where I come from. First and foremost, he was like a very family-orientated man. Then he was a man who loved education. My dad will go any length to make sure you get credible, like a worthwhile education. He valued education. So yeah, it's been interesting. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it's good you did that
yeah,
reflection and kind of thought about the things you would learn, the lessons you've learned, because I'm sure those lessons will be ones that you'll pass down
yeah,
to your kids in the
100%, bro.
future, and ones that will even guide you in the process as you get to that process of building out your family and building
Exactly.
out where you want to
Yeah,
get
man.
to in life.
Mm.
Yeah, it's powerful. So talk about kind of the challenges of moving from Nigeria to Australia and pursuing an education.
Yeah, quite challenging. Moving from Africa down here, it's a bit of a hassle. Like, nah, it's quite tough. Um, there's a lot of challenges you have to deal with. First and foremost, finances. It's a very big deal. When you
Yeah,
compare the Australian currency to Nigerian currency, which is naira, you find out that it's just lacking behind. It's nothing to write home about. So yeah, first and foremost, financing was like a massive debacle. It was a major challenge, but yeah, thankfully we were able to like figure that out, like navigate it. A very big impact to my move here was my brother Anselm. Yeah, you know Anselm. Yeah, I met you through Anselm. So yeah, Anselm's a registered nurse in Canberra. He's been here for about 7 years now. So yeah, he was the one who really encouraged me to move down here. Like, yeah, he did a lot for me. I'm grateful for that. Yeah. And my siblings, the rest of my siblings were very supportive as well. My dad, because I started the whole process for this move before my dad passed. And yeah, he was very supportive. Anything education, he was like absolutely 100% in for that. So it was, it was good. My eldest brother as well, his name's Bruce. He's one of my role models, my mentors in life, because I look at him and I see a picture of something I would want my life to look like. Yeah. He's recently just moved to the Middle East from Lagos, Oman to be specific. He's into IT and finance. He's a project manager and all of that. Yeah. So yeah, my siblings, my family really supported me a lot. Yeah. So I started the whole process to move down here. It took roughly about over a year because COVID hit, then the world was stuck, on lockdown. A lot of things was not going as fast as possible. Immigrations was slow with handing out visas and stuff. But yep, it was an amazing journey. It was a beautiful experience. I scaled through all the processes. There's just a lot you have to do. IELTS, you have to write an English examination. Sometimes I wonder why people still do that because Nigeria was colonized by the British, right? So it's definitely an English-speaking country. So sometimes you just think, why do we still need to write an English exam to go to an English country? But yeah, every country's got their own rules. So I did that. I scaled through that. A lot of other things, documentations, heaps of documentations was involved. Yeah, pretty much all of that. It was quite tough, but yeah, here I am today. I'm more like an Aussie guy.
We
Yeah,
settled into the
yeah, man.
Australian way of life.
Yeah, and
Yeah, mate.
I'm loving
G'day,
Brisbane,
mate.
bro. It's amazing. It's beautiful.
What do you like about Brisbane?
Brisbane's very diverse. I love diversity, I'm a very, very um big fan of diversity. I love when you can meet people from diverse cultures. I've got friends from Zimbabwe. Like right now, I feel like I'm Pan-African because just being in Brisbane alone, I've been in Nigeria my whole life, but the few months I've been here, I've learned a lot more about other African countries that I did not even know of. Yeah. Me and you met a bloke from Chad recently. What the heck? I've never met anyone from Chad, bro. Like, Chad. It was
And the way that guy made us try and guess
exactly.
where he was
It
from.
was nah. That was
Man, that was
funny.
funny.
He was like, "Oh, it's a country just quite big. Landmass is amazing. It's a white man's name.
And you've never met
Never.
anyone
It's a
from there
white
before,
man's
though.
name." And I was like, "A white man's name, an African country." And Chad. That's nice. I've got friends from Zimbabwe, from
Yeah.
Kenya, South Africa. It's been amazing. I met a girl yesterday. She's from Taiwan. She's amazing. So it's just so diverse. You meet Asians, you meet Caribbeans, you meet people from the surrounding islands of Australia. It's beautiful. You get insights from different cultures. You get, every culture has like their way of life. And that way of life kind of
Mm.
like it built into your mentality. It relates to the way you think. It
Yeah.
relates to the way you talk, the way you approach certain things and certain problems. So yeah, just in general, like I've kind of like learned a lot about different cultures, like even African cultures. It's been amazing. It's been fantastic. Yeah, so Brisbane's very diverse.
That's
Secondly, Brisbane's a beautiful city. The sunrise in Brisbane is beautiful. The sunset is splendid. It's amazing. You'll love the city. It's tropical, so reminds me of Africa. It feels like home away from home. Yeah, winter's not
Mm.
that bad. You know what I mean? Lots of fun stuff to do in Brisbane,
Yeah.
Queensland in general. lots of places to go visit, just get inspired. What else about Brisbane? Young people, it thrives. Like, it's a thriving place for young people. It's not just like, some cities are just very dead end, laid back for older people, retirees, what I mean? So yeah, Brisbane it thrives a lot. Lots of amazing universities, intelligent people, great. You can network easily. Tons of loads of people to work with. So yeah, it's been fantastic. I don't think I'll leave in Brisbane anytime soon. Yeah.
That's good. I got a bit of a
Yeah,
interesting
go for it.
question for you. Obviously, you grew
Yeah.
up in Nigeria, so you grew up around black
Mm-hmm.
people your whole life. What was it like making that switch to now living in an area with predominantly white
Mm. I wouldn't say it was very difficult for me. I think basically everything's about communication and the fact that Australia is quite a diverse society. It made it a lot easier. You know what I mean? So Australia is very diverse, and like they're used to blacks and a lot of foreigners from different parts of the world, Asians and all of that. We're all different in our own ways. So adapting into the lifestyle here wasn't too difficult for me, and the fact that I still surrounded myself with a lot of African friends, people who had similar orientation to me, who thought the same way I did, who did things the same way I did. Yeah, he helped me a lot. He helped me settle down pretty fast. And yeah, with the nature of my job as well, fortunately, I got into customer relations. So it put me on that space where I was able to really interact with people, get to understand people, get to understand certain behaviors and cultures, and help them solve problems. So yeah, the adaptation part has been quite enjoyable. I wouldn't complain. Yeah, it's been good. Yeah.
people. So you said Brisbane is a place that you're looking to stay in
Yeah.
for a while. So what are some of your goals? What do you hope to achieve living in this place?
I hope to achieve success. That's my main goal. When I say I hope to achieve success, how do I put it? Um, for me, success does, I feel like a lot of people mistake the definition of success. Success for me is just not about being financially free or graduating from uni. Success for me involves um, good health, energy, and enthusiasm for life. It involves fulfilling relationships, creative freedom, financial, psychological, emotional well being, and peace of mind. I want to get all of that in Brisbane. That's the whole package. That's how I define success. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to chase all of these things in my own capacity, starting with uni, trying to get success in my education first. I feel like it's a pathway that could open up like several pathways for me to actually enjoy as much success as I want. And that's the thing with success. Success, people mistake it a lot. And I've tried to learn to not make that mistake. Success is not a one-time event, right? It's a continuous process. Always be ready for your next success. So those are the things I've learned moving to Brisbane, because you look at people's lives and you say, oh, this person's successful. But when you look deep down into that person's life, are you successful in your health? Are you successful in your relationships? Are you successful psychologically in your family? Are you successful when you get back home from your job, when everyone thinks you're successful? So it's a big picture. I do not just want to be successful in just one part. I am trying to chase the big picture, because life is short. Why be a success in this part, and this part you're like a total failure? Yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I think that's a great point that you've
Mm,
raised. I think sometimes we look at other people and we see they've got the
yeah.
house, the car, but they don't have the relationship that we have with
Exactly.
our friends. They don't have the relationship we have with family, or we might look at other people and say, I love the way that he is
Mm-hmm.
with his brother. Okay, but he might not necessarily have
Yeah.
the job you have. He might not necessarily have whatever, and we
100%.
always are in this place of comparison where we always just view one aspect of
100%.
people's lives and we say, okay,
Yeah.
they're better than us. But in
Mm.
reality, we have to look at our own selves and say, okay, well, what can I
Yeah.
be really grateful for? Because I guarantee you that each one of you listening has something that other
Yeah.
people wish they
True.
had.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of
Yeah.
human uniqueness. You know what I mean? That we're all blessed with different things in different capacities. So, for example,
Mm-hmm.
even you and we talk about sometimes, I talk about the fact that sometimes I wish I was more patient like you are. But what I've really began to think about in the last few days is actually I like the fact that I'm not patient. And now I've got a better understanding of
Okay.
why I'm not
Yeah.
patient. Does that makes sense? It's not to say that I shouldn't improve my patience
Mm.
at all or whatever, but I've actually found that not being extremely patient is something that
Okay.
works for me because it means that I'm working as hard as I can
Yeah.
to get things done and working fast to get things done. And I'm quick to realize if things serve me or don't.
Yeah.
And if something doesn't serve me, then I'm quick to try and remove that distraction,
Mm.
And so instead of criticizing myself and saying, oh my gosh, like I wish I was more patient like Daniel, I begin to thought, okay, actually, yeah, can I just understand why I have this tendency? And it's not to say don't improve it at all
Yeah.
when you understand it, but it's to understand where it's coming from and understand what can be done with that.
100%. That's very valid. Yeah.
I think sometimes things aren't as bad as we
Mm.
think they are. We just have to understand how do we
Yeah.
tailor this to get this thing to improve. Like sometimes, for example, you might be talking to a partner and they're telling you about something, and in the moment you're thinking it's so bad, it's so painful, it's so whatever. But it's like, actually, you know what? Like maybe if you understand where they're coming from, you can address the
Exactly.
issue or why this certain thing might
Yeah.
have happened.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And it's like once you sometimes not knowing the cause of the issue is the biggest
100%.
issue.
That's it. Yeah, that's very valid.
So you talked about what you're going to do and that path of success. And I definitely agree with what you said there as well. What I'm looking for in my life is to continue progressing myself as well. And for me, I think family is the most
Mm.
important thing that we can have in our lives. And I think no matter the amount of financial freedom, etc., you have, if you don't have family, sometimes there can be that void. And I think a lot of times people our age forget that because we're so used to being surrounded by friends, etc., etc. But as you grow older, those friends thin out as people get their own families, as
Exactly.
people get, a
Yeah.
smaller friend group. So I think it's really important. Personally, I think it's really important to focus towards what can I do to build my family and make sure that the people I care for and look after can be looked after and cared for, and
Mm.
also make sure that my head isn't too stuck in my work and that I can have time for future kids and whatever. And I think it's really important for
Yeah.
young men to realize that, okay, you're going to likely grow into a leadership
Yeah.
role within your
Mm-hmm.
relationship, right? You're going to make sure that you need to understand how to keep your partner satisfied, how to keep her happy, how to keep her challenged, and how to keep her enjoying her time
Yeah.
around you. And so it's important to start trying to put that picture together just as you've done and saying, what kind of behaviors and what kind of things do I need to learn to find that success? So you first need to find what does success look like for me? And then you can kind of paint that picture after you've understood what it looks like in terms of you can get the instructions of how to get there.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, that's I agree with all you said. I feel like it's important. Family is a very important part of success. I think life is, at some point, it's a very individualistic journey. It's like a very solitary journey. But when you do realize that life is about all of the people around you who you can teach and love and impact and influence, and mostly about the people that love you and care about you, it changes your mentality about life. It changes how you see family, and you do understand that that's the primary thing. I mean, life is just about family. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think it's one of the like the most important part of success. Like if you can achieve success with family, man, like you can achieve whatever kind of success you want. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. You know, if you can really be in a position where you can really look after the people
Mm-hmm.
around you
Yeah.
and build that up, you know, I think there's nothing more rewarding
Yeah.
for a man than being able to. Obviously, I'm talking about the
Yeah.
traditional man here, but I don't think there's anything more rewarding for the traditional man than having that family that he can look after and know that he put himself
Yeah.
in a position to be able to do that.
Yeah. That's very true.
I think sometimes women think that we actually see that as a burden, whereas I'm not sure they
Mm.
realize we actually like that challenge. The only time it
Yeah.
becomes a burden is when it's not
Yeah.
appreciated.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
100%. It only becomes a burden when the support you need and the appreciation you need turns like it switches around and it turns into trouble and stress. You know, I feel like for men it's quite easy. Personally, for me, I want a life like an incredible life, free from chaos, anxiety, and unnecessary drama. And that's what a family has to offer you. When you have a family that's free from chaos, anxiety, and unnecessary drama, you live a beautiful life. You have a happy family, you have a happy home, you know? But when things get to change, we know it's not always rosy and always good. Times get hard, like tough times. Yeah, but at the end of the day, if you get that support and appreciation you want, it's never a burden. It's something you would do with the whole of your heart because it's something you love to do. I feel like with masculinity, that's how men were created. We are created to be that way. That's how it is.
Yeah, we're so inclined to provide and to
Mm.
look after and to
Yeah.
support, you know. And I think a lot of times people look at leading in relationships, a man leading is a man controlling everything, whereas in reality, that leading is a
Yeah.
service. You know, that leading is, can I provide a safe
It's
environment for you? Can I look after
mm.
you? And I think it's important that one, men kind of understand how do we lead
Mm-hmm.
better. And that's something that I'm trying to do in
Yeah.
my life as
Yeah.
well. And I think it's just, you
Yeah.
know, part of growing into your masculinity and growing as a man is taking time to think about, okay, well, how can I be
Mm.
a better leader for this relationship? How can I really create that environment that my partner can just step into and feel relaxed and have the weight taken off her shoulders? And how can she realize that I can carry that weight? All I need from you is just support and
Just
appreciation.
that. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, just give me that support, give me that peace, and I will do everything in my power to give you everything else.
Yeah. But what will you say about, like, for instance, single mothers who had to raise kids? You know what I mean? I feel like sometimes
No,
it's a
no, no,
bit multifaceted. Like, it can be quite tricky because for single mothers, it can be quite
no,
hard.
no.
And what do they do in situations like that? They have to be the man in the house. They also have to be the woman in the house. So yeah, it's quite hard, but that's the thing about life, you know. We don't get to choose what happens sometimes. Things just happen to us. But yeah. But
It is
mm-hmm.
quite hard. I think all too often we attribute failures to things external of who that person actually is, in terms of, we say, okay, well, he did this because he was a man, or she did this because she was a
Mm.
woman, or he did it because he is black,
Yeah.
or you know what I mean? And I think that's where we have a lot of issues as a
Yeah.
society, is we're so quick to say, no, he did it because of
Yeah.
him being a man, or she did it because she was a woman, where actually maybe that guy was just a bad person.
Yeah.
And maybe that woman was just a bad
100%.
person. Doesn't mean that all men are that way or all women that way. And I do understand that we do have societal
Mm-hmm.
norms for men and women, but within that there are outliers. And if you do want someone that's an outlier, maybe it is harder to find, but maybe be more selective in your selection process, because I think what you talked about with single mothers, and I definitely agree with you, is it's a shame that for whatever reason, now that mother has to
Yeah.
raise that child alone. And
Yeah.
I think for both single mothers and single
Mm-hmm.
fathers, you can try as hard as you can, but you're never going to be able to fully fulfill the
Exactly.
role to
Yeah.
the other gender in terms of, you know,
Exactly.
for a man, for a single father, it's going to be
Yeah.
so hard to provide that pure, divine,
Yeah.
emotional support that a
Yeah.
mother can
Trust me.
provide. I think that men can do their best, but I don't think
Yeah.
that can be replaced. I don't think there's a love like a mother
Mm-hmm.
has for
Yeah.
her child
Yeah.
that exists
100%.
anywhere else in the
Yeah.
human.
That's the thing
Yeah.
with parenting and family, and why being united as a family is so, so important. I can overemphasize how important is that. Like, you need both that motherly love and that care, like that father figure as a young man, as a young girl, to actually learn certain things about life. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like as a young boy, I didn't lose. I lost my dad 2 years ago, so I was obviously very grown. I already learned a lot from him. But if I was 7 or 6 and I lost my dad, how would I feel when I do not have a man influence in my life, that significant male figure in my life leading me, telling me stories and giving me all of those life experiences? For young boys or like young kids, it can be quite hard. It creates a hole in the soul, the shape of that parent, and it craves to be filled. You know what I mean? And sometimes when you don't put in effort, I mean, it gets filled with negative things because it's a hole that needs to be filled, especially for very, very young people who lost some of the parents quite early. I believe it creates a soul, because when I lost my dad, I knew that it created a hole in my soul, and I know, oh, it's craving to be filled. But because I was already a fully grown adult, I was really able to navigate life and really hold on to the things I had learned from him. Yeah, so family and parenting in this modern day life we live right now, and that cannot be overemphasized. I mean, a lot of the problems we deal with, it starts from the home. You know what I mean? Like, family is like the basic. You start from the home before you come out into the society. So yeah, it is important. I feel like family and parenting is something every young man who aspires to have a family should really be concerned about, and like try to be very knowledgeable about it, how you can really impact and influence, and not just your own kids, but people around you, people who care about you, people who love you, whoever you can touch, whoever you can reach out to. It is important. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with what you said. I think family really is important, and especially as a man, the idea of being able to come home,
Mm.
your kids being happy to see
Yeah.
you, your wife being proud of you because,
Hmm.
you've been able to do what you need to
Yeah.
do. I think that's an amazing feeling. I really think men are like dogs.
Mm.
I really think men are like dogs. We just want to do tasks. We just want to be rewarded,
Yeah.
and that is just
Yeah. And
what sets our
appreciate
heart.
it for it. Mm. Yeah.
100%. Well done. You did great. You did great. Like, yeah,
It
yeah.
makes
You know
you
what I
feel
mean?
good. It gives you this sense of, it boosts your ego and confidence. You just know, oh, you can actually do this act of service, and you can actually, make people happy. And what else gives you more satisfaction than when you genuinely make someone else happy? Someone you care about.
Yeah,
Hmm.
100%. Yeah, I think it's difficult in today's day and age because things are shifting so much, and we're venturing into a new normal, and a lot of people are confused. A lot of people are, well, what's right now, and what do I do now, and how am I
Yeah.
supposed to be? What do you think about masculinity and how it's evolving? Where do you think it's heading?
Mm. Yeah, that's a very tricky one. That's a tricky one. You know what I think about the whole masculinity thing, bro? It's it's quite tricky because everyone, like, the way the society is now, everyone says, "Oh, everyone has a chance to see themselves for who they are." You know what that phrase does to people? It makes you just invent. It makes you just invent very outrageous notions of things that are not right, but because we've decided to, just say things like, see yourself for who you are, behave a certain way you behave because this is who I am. I think if we're not very careful, if it's not defined, masculinity is going to actually lose its core value. I mean, it's just going to fail. Like, I feel like the world is trying to just put everything on a level where it's not even about equality anymore. It's just about you just doing whatever you think is right, being opinionated. So you can be opinionated with your character, with how you behave. But we just, I, we just gotta be careful about it because if you truly understand what masculinity means, it's something that's bigger than you. It's about you. It involves your family. It involves the way you relate to the society. It involves how you carry your family along. It involves how you carry your friends along. And I feel like a lot of young men, older men are at a point in life where they're at a battle with their soul, their values, their mentality, and just masculinity in general. And I sincerely hope that everyone can get to a point where you can lay your weapons down and actually think clearly and see life the way it is and live the right way in like this exuberant earth. I mean, masculinity in general is not is not supposed to be like an aggressive thing. People just try to relate masculinity to aggressiveness. It's not that. People are just at a stage where they're at a battle, constant battle with the soul and their heads and their mindset. Masculinity is just about responsibility and accountability. I feel like those are the core values of masculinity: responsibility and accountability. You need to get to that stage in life where you can be responsible, actually responsible for the things you do, for your words, for your actions, and actually be accountable for them. So it's just not about you. It involves a lot of people. So yeah, just in general.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's about service to friends
Yeah,
and
exactly.
family. I think that's what masculinity
Mm.
really is, making sure that you protect and care for the
Yeah,
people around you. I think the trouble we're having with that today is people are struggling with the balance. For
exactly.
example, how do you convey to your girlfriend that, hey, it makes me uncomfortable you going clubbing all the time without it coming across as
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
controlling?
yeah.
Does that make sense? And it's not about the belief that you have or whatever, but how do you
Mm.
convey it,
Yeah.
right? And I think we're at a time where a lot of people don't even know why they believe the things they
Mm-hmm.
believe. They just believe what
Yeah.
they're told. Most people are followers, right? And so they get told things and they automatically
Mm.
believe it. Whereas if you actually understand why you have that belief and why you have that distaste, you can then begin to explain it in an effective way that you can so that you can convey to your
Mm-hmm.
partner your
Yeah.
boundaries, right? But all too often, we just put ourselves in positions where communication isn't being communicated properly, and now we're over committed to this person, so it's too late to make a change on their pre-existing ideas, and it's
Mm.
you know
Yeah.
with dating apps and everything, we're getting into relationships and everything a whole lot
Yeah.
faster, and we're giving ourselves over to another person a whole lot faster without actually understanding. Hold on, if this person actually aligns what
Mm-hmm.
I believe, then that's why you might get into a relationship 6 months down the line. You're like, I don't like clubbing, I don't like you going clubbing, and then the chick's like, well, you were never like that before, and then it becomes a massive
Debacle. Yeah.
debacle, right? And you know, you might be saying, oh, I'm just trying to be masculine and whatever, I'm just saying it to protect her or whatever, but you are conveying it in a way that she can understand, or are you being aggressive about it and saying, no, you're not going clubbing here? You know, it's all about understanding that, okay, if we want to say that women are really emotional, can we also recognize the fact that men are emotional as well?
100%.
You know, and we handle our emotions in different ways, right? And so if you are a masculine man, why are you feeling the need to yell and shout consistently? That makes sense. Like, that's not actually part of masculinity. Just as you said, it's not about that need to be overly aggressive or whatever. You know, sometimes you do have to be aggressive to stand your ground. But, you know, as I've gotten older as well, I've learned that masculinity is about restraint and control, right? And although you might have certain capacity to get angry and to show that anger, can you kind of control it? And we see, you know, sometimes people go a bit too far. For example, like Shannon Sharp in the NBA. I don't know if you know who that guy is, but Shannon Sharp in the NBA. The Memphis game, you know, he's going off with the players, all that kind of stuff, right? And he's someone that normally keeps it together. People make mistakes or whatever, but it's like, who are you building yourself up to be is the core of what you and I are both saying here is, are you understanding what masculinity looks like to you? And are you cultivating, or are you reaching that destination in a healthy way? Are you actually realizing, okay, look, there are certain traits about this thing that I want to really make sure I grow in a healthy way, in a way that will bring me success, in a way that will bring my family success. Because if we extrapolate a little conversation out like that, where you're saying, I don't like this, and you're doing this, and you're getting overly aggressive, is that going to be the environment you want to raise your kids in? Is that going to be the environment you want to have your wife in?
Yeah.
I think it's incumbent on people as they get into their 20s, you know, early 20s, 22, 23, 24, 25, start thinking about these things and start thinking about how was it going to pan out. And I'm a big believer in people being a boyfriend before they're a boyfriend, people being a husband before they're a husband, people being a father before they're a father, right? Because all too often we don't prepare ourselves for these things. And I'm not saying that when you get there, it's going to be exactly like you planned it, but if you haven't planned it all, are you going to be closer to that success that you want or not? And on that topic of success, right, especially in my life, what I try and do is I try and progress myself in a way that if I died tomorrow, would I be happy with what I had done?
Yeah, that's deep.
On this, you know, in my time on Earth, right? Because the thing is, you know, we don't know when our time is over. Not at all. So it's like, if I pass tomorrow and I haven't maximized my time or whatever, then my last thoughts, my last interaction with this earth is going to be like, damn, didn't really push myself. I didn't really do what I needed to do. Whereas if I can push myself and say, who am I going to become? What am I going to do? And whatever. And I don't even get to see it out, but I tried my hardest. Man, I can live with that. So you know what? It is what it is. Like, this thing has happened to me. And now, for example, like, say there's a car accident or whatever, you know, and maybe somebody's in a hotel, my days, a hospital bed. And they're like, oh, wow, you know, they got a few hours left. And they just go with peace. Because they're like, you know what? In my time, I actually pushed it. I think for me, one of the things that really made me view life that way was having friends who committed suicide.
Oh, wow. That's deep.
And yeah, originally I would think, oh my gosh, I didn't do enough, man. Like, I wasn't there for them enough. And I didn't do this, I didn't do that. And then I started to realize, unfortunately, it actually is quite selfish for people to do that. And I think it's quite dangerous to think that because your life is a certain way now, it always has to be that way.
That's very true. Mm.
So if we can begin to plan and understand where we're trying to get to and what that success looks like for us, day by day, we can take steps towards that. It doesn't have to be a massive step each
Yeah.
day. But maybe, for example, you're someone who you don't have a job right now, you're struggling, you don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, what's my next steps? Simply getting a journal and writing it down
Yeah.
is a next step.
Very great step. Little, yeah,
You know, we don't.
little
Yeah, say what you're gonna say.
steps count. Like just the little steps. At the end of the day, when you look back, you discover, oh, I've made a whole lot of progress with those little steps. Yeah, so they're quite important.
Yeah, and you get to a point where you can look back on your life and say, wow, I never even imagined I'd be here right
100%.
now. You know, and I think for you, it's impressive, right? I don't think you ever imagined you'd be living in Australia, living on your own and looking
Mm-hmm.
after yourself and pursuing an
Yeah,
education, etc., etc. Right? It's a massive thing for you to be able to have left the country you were raised in and now come overseas and now
yeah.
pursue a better life.
I'm grateful for that. It's a very massive thing. I mean, I'm enjoying it, and it's a journey, as I've said, and I feel like it's more about the process, not the outcome of the journey, because along the line, you just learn a lot during the process, and I've learned quite a lot. I've learned quite a lot, especially with uni. One of the first things I learned when I got here was that um, it was getting quite tough, and I thought that I was very
Yeah,
enthusiastic about it. But yeah, first and foremost, I learned that enthusiasm was not a substitute for preparation. If you do not actually prepare for it, bruv, you're gonna fail like woefully. So yeah, no matter how enthusiastic you get, and it applies to just every area of your life, relationships, whatever, finances, it's not a substitute for preparation. I feel like preparation is one of the most overlooked, tools for success. It's actually the most overlooked. Enthusiasm can never substitute it, because I know I was really enthusiastic about things, and sometimes it could get really hard. And I was like, oh, this shit is like draining me. It's quite hard. But it taught me resilience. It taught me to not give up. It taught me to like push myself. I've learned that because I could be very enthusiastic about certain things. Sometimes I could like just overlook the preparation part. And when I struggle, I have to go back to the drawing board, and I have to realize that my mind is not just an empty vessel that's supposed to be filled with enthusiasm. My mind is like a vessel that's supposed to be ignited. And how do I ignite the fire? It's through preparations. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's, yeah, one of those things as
100%.
well.
That's a fact. It's like trains, right? For example, a train can have all the steam in the world that it needs to get to
Yeah,
its destination. But if there's no track ahead,
nowhere,
where is it going to go? It's going to
nowhere.
get derailed.
True.
We have to have that preparation. We
Mm,
have to understand this is my
yeah.
destination. And although you might not know the pebbles that might be on the
Mm-hmm.
track along the way, the sticks that might be on the track along the way, the power line
Yeah.
that's fallen down along the way, if you have that general idea of where you're trying
Mm,
to get to, you can then deal with the necessary people to remove those sticks and remove that power line, remove those
yeah.
pebbles, whatever it is, and you're still on track. And it's not always going to be sunshine and
Nah.
roses. The train will
Yeah.
still work in the rain. But if you have
Mm-hmm.
that enthusiasm, which you need, coupled in with that
Yeah.
preparedness, you're going to take yourself a whole
Mm,
lot further. And I think people don't understand that's what management is as well. Management isn't all about
yeah.
knowing all the answers. It's about knowing how to
Mm,
find the answers. And so if you take that and say, okay, well, how can I manage my life better? You don't have to know everything.
mm,
Just know where you need to go when you need help. Because once again, as we talked about before, half the time the issue is that you don't know how to fix
yeah.
the issue. You don't know what the issue is and you don't know how to
Mm,
fix it. So if you can really say, okay, well, this one's a bit of a sticky icky, but we can figure it out because I know who to go to. I have that
Yeah.
solid friend group, or I have that solid friend, or I have that solid parent, or I have that solid counselor, or I have that solid whoever. We can then see that progression and we can then
Yeah.
see that growth. And I think that oftentimes we think that we're lacking, where I really believe that everybody is equipped with what they need to push
Yeah.
themselves forward.
True.
It's just about that activation. It's just about that understanding, and it's just about growing that self-confidence. But you have everything within you, and you can get to where you want to get to. It's just,
Yeah.
you're going to prepare yourself, you're going to do the work, and you're going to stay
Exactly.
consistent, right? Is the steam going to
Yeah.
die out?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. Yeah. Consistency is a very big deal as well. It's quite challenging to be consistent, to be very honest. Like with everything, with football, we see how players are like amazing this season, and the next season they're like a total flop. Consistency is quite
Liverpool.
Yeah, but Liverpool's like, yeah, not too bad. Yeah, consistency is quite hard. Like I feel like human nature just tries to trick you to not be consistent. You get to this space, and that's the thing about failure, because when you just sleep up, you don't realize how much you've fallen. That's how important consistency and preparation is. Because the minute you sleep up, you just look back and like, how did I fall this much? That's how failure tricks us. It's like, it's a very keen irony. It's very cunning. It takes great delight to just trip you off when you're close to achieving success. And when we're close to achieving success, sometimes we can be very complacent. And that's where our consistency drops. Yeah. But I feel like, yeah, consistency, especially we like relating it to me with uni and stuff like that. And I'm in an IT background where I have to learn about a lot of stuff. The minute I like try to get complacent, just in a few days, I realized, oh, I think, why does it feel like I've not done this thing in like months? So with me, I try to relate consistency with something I call sweat equity. So when I say sweat equity, it's like when you're fully committed to something and never stopping, never giving up, because you know that I cannot afford to sleep up. I cannot afford to fuck up. When you know you have enough sweat equity into something, at some point in your life, when you chase something, it just becomes like a habit. It becomes a routine, and you can just easily, you have this level of consistency and persistence. You can easily chase anything, and you can achieve success quicker than people can achieve success. So, yeah, I think that's a very important thing as well.
Okay, then yeah, I've learned something new to that. Sweat equity. Okay,
Yeah.
that's nice. Did you come up with that phrase
Yeah,
yourself, or did
it's
you?
something I read it like when I was young, and it has always stuck with me. Like I read it, and it always stuck
Man,
with me. So I just relate consistency to sweat equity. Just keep doing it. Just put sweat into it. Put sweat into it. Put effort into it, and just never stop. Never give up. Just keep doing it. It just forms this routine, this habit into you, and before you know it, you can achieve success quicker than who like other people. And it's like magic, but people don't realize it's not magic. It's sweat equity. It's consistency. It's persistence. Yeah, but it's quite hard. But all of those things are things I try to like invite, like train myself in, like as a man, because they're quite important. Because as a man, life can be very tough and very challenging at some point. You can get to the lowest point of your life, and things could just really just change overnight. But yeah, when you have that belief in you and you have that strong willpower in you, I feel like there's nothing that's not insurmountable. Anything is insurmountable, no matter what. Well, maybe I'll just tell you about a little story about myself when I was at the worst phase of my life. So I was actually going to uni in Nigeria, and all of a sudden I fell sick, and it was quite serious. It was very serious. I had to drop out of uni. I had to go home. I was sick for about 3 years, and I had a thyroid disorder, and it was so bad. I had hyperthyroidism. So hyperthyroidism is, I think, the thyroid glands produce excess iodine, and hypothyroidism that produce very low while you're dying. So it was terrible. It really does not affect young people, especially males. It's much more predominant in females. But here I was retired, and my mates were at uni, progressing, making moves with their life, and I was just stuck battling this crazy disease that was draining the life out of me. It was tough, but I almost gave up, but I still didn't give up. That's where family counts. I got a lot of support from family. It was the hardest 3 to 4 years of my life. I was just there. I struggled a lot mentally, physically, emotionally, but here I am today. So what am I saying? It's not all me, but with all of those things I have faced, I have just learned a lot about life. Life is not always smooth and enjoyable, sugar and honey, roses and lilies. Sometimes it takes you down the valley. It takes you to tough roads, and you have to learn something. It's taking you through that path because it actually wants you to learn something. If you're not smart enough to deduce the story and the moral of that lesson you're supposed to learn, well, I'm sorry, but yeah, that's the thing about life and as a man in general and masculinity. At every point in life, no matter what life throws at us, there's a story behind the scenes we're supposed to learn. And there's a certain amount of effort that's required to move us out of that level. You might think, oh, I'm doing enough. You might just have to just take medication and you're even complacent. Sometimes you might get tired of taking medications. I remembered how many medications I had to take, bruv. I tried different stuff. Just medications might make you cranky and just utterly vexed and you just feel like shit. But I feel like with every stage in life, there's already a certain required amount of effort you need to put into it before you can move out of that phase and you can actually look back and you can genuinely say, yeah, of a truth, that was hard, but I was able to do this and I learned this from that. And you can pass that knowledge off to someone else. You can encourage someone else with that story. You can share those little secrets you've learned when you were in that place to someone else who might be in a similar situation. So yeah, that's why I said life is not something. It's not just a solitary journey. It looks solitary, but at every point in time, it's about how you can still influence and impact people and also learn from other people who've been through similar stories and all of that. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely, man. That's
Mm.
amazing. 100%. It's the struggle, but I was talking to somebody recently about this, somebody I care about, and I told her, these struggles, they're not what
Yeah,
define you.
exactly.
It's what you
Yeah.
do with the struggles. How do you
Mm.
overcome them? How do you
Mm.
get past? That's
Yeah,
what defines who you are as a
exactly.
person. Are you someone who's going to be defeated? Are you someone who's going to be knocked down? Or are you going to continue to
Mm.
get back up? And it's so much easier to say right now when, we're not
I
in this
know.
immediate
I
moment
know.
struggling with things.
Yeah.
And I get that. I get that. But me too, man. Things knock you
Yeah.
down to where you're
Mm.
like, bro,
Yeah.
can I go on? And you just, as a man,
Yeah,
we'll keep going, man.
you just can't
No time
stop.
off.
You just
And
cannot
so,
stop.
I mean, if you need it day 2,
Yeah.
3, 4, do it. But why I say by no time off is, you gotta get back to work
Mm.
as soon as
Yeah.
possible, man. Like
That's the thing.
we
Yeah.
don't have that liberty.
And the more you make excuses, the more you realize you're falling off. Yeah. That's the thing. When you just make excuses, oh, you look back and you see, oh, okay, just one more day. Excuses is like it's never a function of resourcefulness. You can never be resourceful by making excuses, bro. You gotta like take the bull by the horn. You just gotta push it. You gotta smash it. You just gotta go through it. That's it.
You can never achieve the life that you want to live if you're not prepared to push yourself for it, because nobody else is gonna make you that life.
Exactly.
Nobody else is gonna
Yeah.
get you to where you're trying to
Exactly.
get to.
Yeah.
And that's the tough
Yeah.
reality of being a man. Is just
It is.
it sucks, bro, and it's heavy and it's hard, but you cannot pit
It
yourself for a
is.
second the second you start to feel sorry for yourself, the second you start falling behind. And as you said before, when you start falling behind, it's like, snap, I've fallen further than I thought I even had. So you've just got to keep going, keep pushing, and pray and hold on to the idea of the light at the end of that tunnel, because when you get there, you know society will reward you for that. In terms of, we know that the more we progress as men, the more options we have within society, not only in a partner, but also what we can do with our time, etc., etc. So it is worth
100%.
it, you know, and that struggle that we go through and whatever, and that grind and that drive and that continual push, it's worth it, man. But if you want something better than you currently have, you're going to have to fight for it. And I was also at, in fact, the event we were at the other day, you know, when that guy was talking, actually, he's coming on this podcast later. But anyway, when that guy was talking and saying, you know, sometimes creatives, and I'm saying creatives in this sense because that's what he said, but it's really people in general, right? Sometimes creatives don't see themselves in the light that they need to see themselves, and they don't see themselves as a business. They don't see themselves as someone who needs to work hard. You know, they get so caught up in, no, I'm a creative, I just do this, this is what I want, when it's, in reality, they're not pushing themselves as hard as they want to. And they're having to forego relationships with friends and families or whatever, but at the end of the day, are they really ready for the life that they say they want? You know, and not everybody wants the same life. I'm not talking about, you know, Andrew Tate's life, a million different caddies or whatever. I'm not saying Michael Jackson's life, you know, his fucking palace, whatever he was doing then. But it's like, what kind of life do you want? Because even in the middle ground of music making, there are so many artists who don't even know that do music full time.
Tens of thousands.
You know, even footballers. There are so many footballers you've never even heard of. That play football full time. That can do their passion full time. That can live the life that they have chosen to live full time, rather than be forced to do something else. There are so many people working at McDonald's that you don't even know have chosen they want to do that every single day. It's about what success looks like for you, and if you want more than you currently have, it's time to put in that work to get it.
100%. Yeah.
It's time, man.
It is time.
It's time. But anyway, that's time. Thank you very much, everyone, for tuning into this episode. Thank you very much, Daniel, for coming and sharing your thoughts, man. We'll definitely have to get you back on, because you shared some really powerful stuff, man.
Yeah.
Much appreciated.
It's beautiful to be here. It was a great time with you.
Appreciate it, bro. Appreciate it. All right, everyone.
Yeah.
Take
peace.
care.
Thank you.
Thank you.